So looking at some of these enterprise implications, the last couple of slides here, to do this properly at scale requires some smarts. And it requires some smarts, probably a little bit of magic as well. Imaginatik. Magic is in our name. Because what you begin to have in here is you've got security and restrictions when you start to do the collective. It's really kind of tricky. I was having dinner with, having lunch with one of our aerospace clients, and they have export restrictions. They have export controls around who is allowed to see intellectual property. They will have firewalls in between the organization about who can share what. So you have to have not only some techniques and methods for handling security restrictions, but a technology that can also support that and do that at scale. There's a whole bunch of issues around intellectual property creation and protection. There's a website, mystarbucks.com, and there's another one, Dell IdeaStorm. These are quite often celebrated as good case studies for innovation. In fact, they're marketing gimmicks. They have no innovation component to it at all. And that's primarily because every single piece of content in there is in the public domain. That therefore means that there is no intellectual property creation. You could have creation, so this is then when to have the smarts of doing this properly. Another one then is focus. How will you apply this tool? How will you harness that collective intelligence to go do stuff? Another one then is just ensuring that it gets linked up to the back end, so that you actually do something with content. Leadership style, though, is probably the most important thing, and hopefully Eternal and I will have a chance to work and develop this thing out, because this is fundamentally a leadership problem. 30% of this problem is about leaders, because this is a fundamentally different way of thinking and working. It is a very powerful capability. It must be like when somebody had, when I guess it was Sloan at General Motors came up with budgeting. We didn't have budgets before. Like, okay, we need to have some way of controlling finances. This is a new way of working that will need to be sort of propelled through management. And then there are cultural barriers as well. Cultural barriers within companies, outside of companies, across barriers. These are all some of the things that we have to work as an enterprise. This thing, I think, was really then just as a message for us, those companies looking to do something in this area have got pretty much 3 fairly simple next steps, unless they're already using it. One of those next steps is that, one of the first steps is they have to make an investment. This thing isn't going away, so I think calling it an investment is the right way of looking at it. You have to make an investment in people, in processes, and technology. You need some form of infrastructure to be able to go do this. And really then, either there's some committed deployment. A lot of organizations now are either enlightened enough or desperate enough to go do this. It used to be that 98% of our business was driven by desperation. Our first project at Bristol Myers Squibb came about because they were trying to launch new diabetes drugs, and they just lost, Eli Lilly had just lost 98% of its revenue in 2 months. So that was a desperation driver. But there's more and more enlightened commitment to actually having this as an organization capability, and then some organizations are scaling things in to get some experience. We're thoroughly recommending experimentation. The books haven't been written yet. And right now those books that have are almost doing the easy stuff. So we need to work together to co-experiment, to come up with different ways of using this type of technology and techniques inside and outside of companies. And then the other one that is critical is having a trusted partner. This is new stuff. If you've never handled explosives before, I wouldn't recommend you handle any explosives, but you could ask Beth for some advice. She's been an explosives expert in the US Army. But so you need to have a trusted partner. This is a partnership model. And so it's critically important that you can learn from other people's mistakes and successes. Imaginatik for our clients is the trusted partner for them. And then we also partner with other organizations like the IXL for training, for example. But it's very important that companies engaged in this area really work in trusted partnership to co-create this new world. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening. So that was actually, by the way, that was pickup wave 1 was indecisive.